Okay, everybody, we're back in the shop today. Give you a little update on what we got going on the crew cab build, the off-road truck. Basically, I'm a little out of breath. I was just walking clear down in the yard. One of our employees needed a hand, so I went out there and did that. Just made it back here. Figured I'd get a quick video in so that I can stop procrastinating on that. It's noisy and busy here during the day, and it's kind of a pain to do videos because we are a production shop still. But to give you a little update on what we've had going on here. All right, what we've had going on the crew cab frame build. We've had quite a bit of stuff change in the shop here while you guys were away. On this project, well, I think before I get ahead of myself, you guys are gonna see stuff in the background, so I might as well just address that right off the bat. The S10's out of the shop for right now. Ray painted the cage, just a quick little spray job to keep it from rusting, and since he doesn't have a heated shop, he's going to be in here with us this winter, and he's got another project, or a project he's been wanting to build, which was a big influence on the project I'm building. We talked about building a good off-road truck for a long time, and I've wanted a serious off-road truck. Ray had basically decided that, a long time ago, Ray built, had just about an off-road truck together. One that would be his ideal off-road truck. But basically, it never got finished. There wasn't nobody to go wheeling with or, whatever. And the truck got put to the side. Well, with my truck being built, and I can use the backup, the support, especially when we're, out there trying to recover something. And basically, you never should go out wheeling with one truck, especially on a recovery. So you need two good trucks. And Ray has everything that he needs to build it. Very little money invested in it out of his pocket right now. He spent the same amount of money that I'm gonna have to spend. He just done it a while ago. So, we talked about suburban frames. We talked about how they're kind of a good universal frame, especially for an early Chevy pickup like 72 and down, because they don't have the hump or the kick up in them in the middle of the frame. And basically, since they're flat, let's see here. Since they're flat, the whole run of underneath the cab, you can put an early cab on them without having to body lift the front. And we talked about body lifts earlier and how they kind of take some of the structural integrity out of the rigidity that the body gives the truck. So, the Suburban chassis is a good one to go with because we can shorten it up and make it into a, kind of a truck bed deal. There is a few things at the back over the top of the rear end. There's a little bit of a hump there that would have an effect on a bed. But if we're going with a flat bed or a tube bed or a crawler bed, it doesn't really make no matter to us. It actually works a lot better for what we're doing. Ray has a 85-ish Suburban 3/4 ton chassis here. He's had it for a long time, and the body was really hammered on it. It wasn't worth messing with. Looked like some kids had it. They'd rattle can this thing. It's got about 10 different colors with a rattle can on it, but it doesn't really matter because the framing is really what he's after. It's really no different than my frame at all. This is a 3/4 ton, but the frames are the same. They are really identical. So this still has a 3/4 ton front end and 3/4 ton full float 14 bolt in the rear. Ray got the body off it pretty quickly. The back mounts that are rusty right here, they aren't necessary because they're going to be smoothed off anyways. The important mounts is this is where the back of the cab's going to end up, the back cab mount. And we got some things planned on how to make that better and stronger than what the factory did. So he's going with the 52-inch springs in the front, the 63-inch springs in the rear, just like the truck we got over here. Here's the Off-Road Design doubler kit. He actually sent the range box off to Off-Road Design many years ago. It's all rebuilt, it's all new stuff. It's never been run, and it's just been sitting in a truck. Still got to build the transmission. He's got a mock-up block so that he can get motor mounts and everything else set up. It was in like a 64, 65 Chevy truck that he was going to build and the frame had gotten damaged in moving it around a bunch. So basically he pulled all the good stuff out of the truck and is keeping the rest of the parts just in case he decides to build something. But he's got all the good stuff around here. He's got the 14 bolt with the disc brake kit in it already. It's got a Detroit locker in it. He's got the Dana 60 Chevy front end in it. It's got the Offroad Design high steer kit on it. It's got the ARB air locker in the front. Everything's brand new, and he's never really ran it at all. So basically all the money I've had to spend, Ray has already spent in the past, and so he's going to use that to build his. About the only major difference in the two trucks is going to be the fact that I think Ray's going to run a 383 stroker with Vortec fuel injection on it, and I'm going to run an LS. Overall, on paper, they should be very close to the same power output, torque output. His motor's built to the HT 383 crate motor specs, so really they should be very, very close to the same truck. So that's kind of an update on what we got going in the shop stuff here. I don't think Ray's going to have to put very much money into his to get it going. Last I talked to him, he was still kind of up in the air about what he was going to put on it for a cab. I like the idea of four-door, and I think Ray's the king of crew cab square bodies. He's got, like, I don't know, many crew cab square bodies. He's got them in about every variation there is. So it would kind of be, in my opinion, dumb for Ray not to have a crew cab on it. But I can see why he may not want one. It could be want a truck shorter, or that sort of deal. I'm strongly encouraging him to put a crew cab on it. But we had some discussion the other day when he was here about what he wanted to put on it. We could put a 72 Chevy cab on it. We could put a 64 cab on it. The other thing I'd like, if he doesn't do the crew cab suburban frame truck, is build a crew cab out of like a 64 Chevy. I think that would be ultra neat as a crawler. That's a whole bunch of work, and it would be me volunteering Ray for a whole bunch of work, but I think it would be really, really neat to build a crew cab 64 Chevy. And I think everybody would think it's neat. I think Ray thinks it's neat. It's just a whole bunch of work to put into a truck that, is going to be a crawler or an off-road truck. So, I don't know if it's really, really necessary, or if it's really conducive to the idea of this project. We're trying to build something that's, capable, on a budget, something we can beat on, something I'm not going to cry about, or Ray's not going to cry about if we heard it. And if you do a bunch of work doing that, and then you build a crew cab 64, 65 Chevy truck, and you go out there and dent it up, it's going to suck. Like it'd be sad. So he had a line on a crew cab, and I think it'd be perfect for exactly what we want to do. So we're probably, more than likely, just the utilitarian purpose of it, it wouldn't be too big of a deal to have two fairly close to matching trucks. And it would help with parts availability. It'd help with breakdown stuff. We wouldn't have to keep as many spares around. We'd know each other's trucks very well, which would be really good. Especially since, we're probably going to be taking both trucks out to go out and recover stuff just, in bad situations, so that we don't have a chance of having one stuck or hung up, or, they're going to be big trucks. They're going to be capable trucks. But if you get one stuck, it's going to take something serious to get it back out. So that being said, I think it'd be awesome to have, some fairly similar trucks. The chassis are going to be probably close to identical, because Ray put the good stuff in his suspension and chassis work, and honestly, I don't see a problem with it. There's nothing I really want to upgrade on it. I like the logic, and I like how it works. That's a good part about how me and Ray work, is we think a lot the same, or a lot alike, I guess. And it works out good having us both in the shop, because we kind of build off each other. We kick ideas around, and there's a lot of really neat stuff that gets built. So that being said, we'll go back to my off-road truck project, and I'll give you guys an update on where we're at now. All right, as you can see, we got the front suspension back underneath this thing. We got the 7-inch Offroad Design shackle kit on it. I got the hot riveted leaf spring clamp, or whatever they call that setup. I don't know how much I love it. The quality of the kit I bought, I don't know, I wasn't horribly impressed with it, but whatever. I mean, it'll work. It's working right now. I do think that I'm going to have to shorten them up quite a bit. If you look at it, they are pretty tall. Honestly, I think that my bolt hole should probably be somewhere down here and then cut off. But I kind of wanted to wheel it a little bit first just to see. It does, you know, let that spring go quite a ways. And I don't think it's really doing much of anything on here. You know, right now it's still not touching, and that's the lowest hole. So we'll get it figured out. We got little Miss Kaya in here. She's our shop dog that kind of goes with me everywhere. She's a good dog. And she's, you know, as long as you got a toy, she'll go with you everywhere. We got the Offroad Designs front bushings for the 3.5-inch hangers, the 1.5-inch spring eye, and the 2.5-inch springs. I called Offroad Designs on all the rest of the bushings, and I spec'd them out, and I told them what I had, and told them basically, you know, what my dimensions were, and they sent me the bushings. When I called them back for the front bushings, I'm like, I don't know, I don't want to stack washers. You know, do you guys make something? And they sent me an application chart. Turns out it's on their website. I should have found that sooner. It was way easier. I mean, like, not that calling Offroad Design was hard at all. But it was really awesome. Their application chart works amazing, turns out. Like, pretty much has any conglomeration of stuff that you could probably build for a square body, as far as bushings and springs and spring hanger combinations. It was awesome. I kind of wished I would have seen it before, and it probably would have saved them some hassle looking up all my stuff and figuring it out. But whatever, it works good. I'm happy with them. They work amazing. And as you can see here, here's another shot of this bushing setup. The bushings are wider. It fits really nice. Yeah, them are torqued down to the 75 foot-pounds that the instructions require. You torque it on the nut side, not the bolt side. That way you get an accurate torque. You probably see that we've got all gold hardware in here. These are all grade 8 bolts, built-in washers onto the heads of the bolts. We have top lock nuts with built-in washers on them. They're all grade 8 hardware. And so we've kind of got the front suspension pretty much buttoned up at this point. Well, I mean, not the suspension, but I guess leaf springs, hangers, they're buttoned up at this point. Hopefully I don't have to take them back apart again, because I can't think of a reason to. The one thing with the 7-inch shackles I did notice is it droop right now. You look at it, the pinion angle is about level. It needs to come up probably about 5 degrees would be my guess. And so I'm kind of waiting to see whether I'm just going to run easy inches in the front with the taper or the angle built into them, or if I'm going to just run regular wedges. So we'll find out whether or not what we're going to have to do to set our pinion angle. Them 7-inch shackles definitely drop that pinion angle down. I liked the pinion angle where it was with the 4-inch shackles, but we couldn't do that. It just shackle pines. The front suspension is really soft. The shackles seem to be functioning great. The Offroad Designs grease bushings, grease bolts. They are smooth, they're soft. The bushings aren't soft, but the ride is soft. Everything works really, really well. I'm really happy with it. I'm pretty content with the angle on the shackles for right now. I don't think I'm going to change it, even if I don't. I mean, I'd have to hate it once I got the weight on the truck to change it, because I think it's pretty close. And it definitely will be closer when we get the engine and the cab on here. On the rear, we still haven't I mean, everything's together on the rear, but we still haven't drilled the holes here. I'm not 100% sure on whether I like them where they're at. I'm going to have to just look at it. I'm going to leave it with 2 bolts in them until I get the engine and transmission set in there for mock-up and the cab set on it, just to make sure and decide what I want to do. I have these motor mounts here that I got off of the old eBay's website, And these actually are for an S10, putting an LS in an S10. They were like 30 bucks from China. But they had some pretty neat engine frame mounts. I mean, they were 30 bucks for the whole setup. And we're gonna bolt these things to the motor. I have the adapter mounts to go to the clamshell, but I like this style of motor mount. I wanna see if I can use it in this application and how it's gonna fit. I don't know if it's really gonna fit right here. The bolt holes don't really line up because it was for an S10, but I wanna bolt them to the motor. I wanna set the motor in here. I kinda wanna get a feel for if they'll work. If they will work like this, then I'll be happy with it and I'll put them in there. If not, I'll go back to the clamshell style mounts. But it was just something I wanted to play with. And I had the opportunity to play with it, so I'm gonna play with it. So, I mean, it looks like a pretty good quality stuff. It comes with a bunch of hardware, and with the plates. I'd leave the other plates on it because they're pretty much identical, but the width right here is different on the other plates. The other plates are wider for the clamshells. These are narrower. These are kind of like almost replacing an early style Chevy motor mount from like the 60s. I don't know if they really would, but they look similar to that setup. Other than that, we had the spring packs apart. We did the rivets on the spring clamps that I talked to you about. New center bolts in them. I didn't clean this spring up because I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to use these springs in the long run. I've spent some time on them. I'd like to use them. I just need to know, once we get the motor in here, we're going to set the cab on it, just check our clearances to know whether this is going to have to be lifted more, and I'm going to have to run different springs in the front, or if I can get away with an easy inch, or if we're good. I don't know yet, but we'll find out. Other than that, I think, let's see if we got anything exciting going on here. We ran around and labeled everything and tagged it. It'll all go into our inventory for sell on eBays or walk-in customers or people that are calling. We'll have this W cross member that'll go into our inventory. They're getting hard to find, turns out. I went around scouting around the yard, and that was the best one I could find. It's in nice shape. It's got a couple dings in it, but I've got one that's pretty good and bent. I've got another one that's decent and bent. But basically, we've got a bunch of parts bagged up. Everything that come off of here, it'll all be sold on the website or the eBays. I think that's about it. That's another spare set of them S10 motor mounts. We got our poly transmission mounts. These are the spare bushings and grease bolts for the upper front shackle mount that we ended up not using because I bought the upper shackle kit, the improved shackle kit. I think that's it. I think we're running low on parts right now. Oh yeah, we got the Offroad Designs front cross member in here. This is the big block one, and we needed a little extra clearance. We were like a quarter inch away when we had the LS in here. It did clear, but it was tight, like too tight. So had Robert put this in. Basically, it is kind of a tricky fit. I don't know how you do it with the motor in it personally. That's me. But we had both of these mount pads off. We had everything out of here. We got the cross member out of it. The factory cross member out of it. You guys seen that in the other video. When we put this thing together, we had to finger tight these in, bring the cross member up in here, finger tight all the rest of the bolts. Not even finger tight, just like get a few threads started to get all the bolts in it. It is kind of a tight fit. I mean, this thing is really well built, and honestly, I'm pretty impressed with how it fits. I mean, it's tight. I mean, it could be aggravating, I would guess, if you didn't have some patience. But if you follow the directions, their directions are really good, turns out. I mean, not turns out. Offroad Design builds some really good stuff, and they have some really good directions. Robert was like, well, these bolt holes don't line up. And so we pulled the instructions out and read the instructions. And the instruction says you aren't going to have a bolt hole that lines up on the passenger side middle. And the front two bolt holes on the driver's side, you're going to have to drill too. And that's literally the same stuff that didn't line up, which is perfect. I mean, it works good. Their instructions were great. It was one page. I was kind of a little worried about it for a minute there, but no, it was comprehensive. It's pretty much, you know, self-explanatory stuff. I mean, I don't know if I'd be an idiot trying to, you know, or worry about somebody that's never worked on cars trying to put one in, because I think it'd aggravate the hell out of somebody. But, you know, if you've worked on cars and you read their instructions, you can get it in there. So I'm impressed with it. It does have 3/4 of an inch more clearance, I think, down here from what I'd read, to clear the oil pan, that sort of deal. And it's going to be strong. It's going to be good. I looked at building one. It's not worth the time for the $250 or whatever it is that it costs. So I think that's probably the update for today. I think I'm going to clean up a little bit in the shop and go over and find some dinners and do it all again tomorrow. So that was a good update for what we had going today. So thanks for watching. All right, guys. Oh, yeah, fuck. I'm not good at this whole guys thing, or gender neutral terms. I don't say guys meaning it's like males. It's like guys as in hey everybody kind of guys. But I gotta try and monitor myself a little better, trying not to be inadvertently gender biased. So, what we're doing. Yeah, that's better. You guys were getting a little dirty there.